So, these past few days, I've been playing a lot of Oblivion Remastered, and I started playing it on the Game Pass, but I've recently switched to Steam. I thought I had to buy it because 1, there's a deluxe edition that I thought contained the expansions, but more on that later, and 2, because I can modify and mod the Windows edition like I can the Steam version. See, while Oblivion Remastered was everything I've ever wanted it to be, honestly it runs like crap. Weird frame gen artifacts, blurry textures, inconsistent frame rates, but worst of all, those god-awful stuttering. For those who are unaware, games installed from the Game Pass are packaged very differently from those installed from Steam. On Steam, once you finish downloading a game, you can simply click Browse Local Files and all will be laid bare. You can freely edit the game's configuration files, install mods, or do whatever needs doing. And games that came from Game Pass, well, you can barely do anything with it. That is, if it even lets you. This means that Game Pass games are generally unmodifiable and in turn, unfixable. At first I wasn't even really planning to get the deluxe edition. The only reason I did was because I thought that the Shivering Isles and the Knights of the Nine expansions were exclusive to the deluxe edition. But according to some people on Reddit, apparently that wasn't even the case. But I mean, I can't really blame myself. This product info is extremely misleading if that person on Reddit was actually telling the truth. Just take a look at this image and listen to this. The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered Deluxe Edition includes digital base game, new quests for unique digital Akatosh and Mehrunes Dagon armor, weapons and horse armor sets, digital artbook and soundtrack app, Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine story expansions, additional downloadable content, Fighter's Stronghold, Spell Tomes, Vile Lair, Mehrunes Razor, The Thieves' Den, Wizard's Tower, The Orrery, and Horse Armor Pack. So I was, in fact, under the impression that the Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine expansions came bundled with the deluxe edition. But hey, even if it isn't, at least now I have some cool looking horse armor. But the real reason why I really got the game on Steam was because I wanted to try to optimize the game myself. But of course, through the lazy way. Without, Microsoft constantly breathing down my neck. I pulled up Nexus mods, looked up every optimization mod that I could find, and tried them all. And before someone starts saying, but you're not supposed to use all of them together, yeah, I didn't. I tried each and every single one of them one by one and made sure to back up the original files to revert them later. But hey, it is my honor to inform you guys that almost none of them worked. Honestly, I really should have known, having modded games for so long. These day one optimizations are more or less just wishful thinking and a whole bunch of bot comments. Almost none of these optimizations I tried had any effect on the game's performance. In fact, some of them even made the game run exceptionally worse. Except, I guess, updating the NVIDIA Streamline and the NVIDIA DLSS files. After installing them, they kinda just stabilized my frames. I used to get 40 to 80 frames in the overworld, but now it hovers between 60 to 80 and 100 to 120, depending on if there's an entity nearby. For some reason, the game spawning NPCs just messes up the frames so much. It doesn't even matter if it's just one guy riding a horse or a whole pack of wolves. Frames drop by 20 to 40 FPS all the same. Another thing that I noticed that's been weirdly tanking my frames is opening up the map. Sometimes when I do, I think the game just forgets what it was supposed to be rendering in the first place, and my frames sometimes even drastically drops from 120 FPS to as low as 40 FPS. If you guys have any ideas on how to fix these issues, feel free to share them in the comment section down below. For reference, I'm trying to get my game running at a stable 120 FPS with 1080p resolution. My specs are RTX 4060, 32GB RAM, Intel Core i7-10700K processor, and the game is installed in a fairly new SSD. Here's my settings too. I've already messed around with the settings a lot before deciding on the setup because even if I drop everything to low, I'd still get a fairly similar performance, like even when everything's set to high. It's just weird. Also, these games and these cards are now really heavily dependent on frame generation technology. If I turn the frame gen off, even if I set all of my settings to low, the game will only run at 60 FPS at best. Also, the stuttering issue. I've basically tried everything at this point. Nothing on Nexus or even on Reddit has ever helped with eliminating this annoying stuttering. But I guess, after all of that tinkering and all those hours wasted, I think I still got at least something worthwhile. Updating Oblivion's NVIDIA DLSS file to the latest version and using the NVIDIA app to force the game to use the K preset for the DLSS resulted in the game having clearer visuals with minimal to virtually no change to the performance. I used to have the DLSS upscaling set to balance, but through DLSS 4, I can set it to performance and it still looks better. So there's that at least. But yeah, I'll be playing Oblivion Remastered on Steam moving forward. Actually, restarted and made a new character, so I'll be chronicling my Oblivion Remastered adventures in this channel starting from where I first get out of the sewers. I'll also probably make some other commentary videos about some other things I find interesting, but until then, that's really all there is for this video, just pouring my thoughts out and my experiences playing the Oblivion Remastered so far. Come give your boy a like, subscribe for more topics, and if you want to listen to more things about games, media, and all sorts of stuff, stay tuned to Revo Radio. Oh, and as for whatever the hell this channel is, aside from me talking about experiences, I also like to curate games, so I'll also be uploading videos recommending similar games to other games, and maybe like top 10 lists or whatnot. You know, the videos that actually get views. But until then, bye bye.